Poco is now an independent brand separating from Xiaomi. Well, not entirely separating since Xiaomi still manufactures what Poco designs. And the newest Poco phone, not Poco phone but Poco space phone, the Poco M3 is a battery beast with a good design and is again very affordable. Hello world, my name is Coco Martek and today we're reviewing the Poco M3. Welcome to an episode of
TT with Coco Martek.
Let's start with the price. The Poco M3 is a budget Android smartphone with 4GB of RAM which only costs 6,990 pesos or around 145 US dollars for the 64GB of internal storage and 7,990 pesos or around 166 US dollars for the 128GB internal storage variant. This is extremely affordable especially for the specs since it's a capable phone having a Snapdragon 662 processor with an Adreno 610 GPU and the amazing battery performance. But before we really dive into the specs of the phone, let's do a quick unboxing. The Poco M3 comes from this yellow box which includes a USB Type-C cable, a 22.5 quick charger 3.0 power brick, a silicone case, some paperwork, and a screen protector which is already installed on the phone. The Poco M3 is a uniquely designed phone by Poco, especially on the back which has the large Poco branding beside this camera setup which we will discuss in a while with sample photos and videos. This back is made of plastic which is slightly curved at the edges so it's easier to hold on to with one hand. The design, even though it's made of plastic, still looks great since it looks like a matte finish leather build which feels like holding a better built Samsung Note 4 if you remember that phone. At the front, you have a 6.53-inch IPS LCD screen with 83.4% screen-to-body ratio with 1080 by 2340 pixels with an aspect ratio of 19.5 by 9 and a pixel density of 395 pixels per inch. You also have this water drop or teardrop notch style having an 8 megapixel selfie camera. The side bezels are thin but the chin is fairly thicker. Just a quick fact, do you know why the budget smartphones like the Poco M3 has thicker bottom bezels? Well, it's because the chin is the place which is used by the display or the touch screen controller. Android phones require a ribbon at the bottom to connect the mobile display to the main board, so it would be very costly to remove that big bezel at the bottom of the phone since removing the chin will require the phone manufacturer to use a flexible or bendable display screen which folds towards the back, which moves the ribbon connection to the back, thus removing the chin. In layman's term, removing the chin or minimizing the bezel is very expensive. Anyway, the screen display of the Poco M3 is a very nice LCD screen. It's a 1080p screen, so it's a really detailed screen. Phones at this price point usually have 720p screens, which sometimes lack in details. And not only the screen is a 1080p screen, but it also produces punchy, vibrant colors and deep black for an LCD screen, so watching videos and playing games is going to be a satisfying experience. At the top of the phone, you have one of these stereo speakers, the 3.5mm headphone jack port, a microphone, and an IR blaster which is rare to see in phones nowadays. On the right side of the phone, you have the volume rocker and the power button that's also the fingerprint scanner. I had a hard time adjusting to the fingerprint scanner of the Poco M3 since the bottom is not that deep, so it was hard finding the button if you want to use it as the fingerprint scanner to unlock your phone. Although of course you'll get used to it after a couple of days. And I also observed that it was not that responsive as I thought it would be, so I added a fingerprint data with the same finger to make it faster. So just in case you feel like your phone is kinda slow using the fingerprint scanner, try to add the same finger in your data. You also have the option to press the button to scan your finger instead of just touching the button but Based on my experience, I had no problems with the phone misreading a certain situation as a fingerprint scanner unlock or something like that if it's in my pocket or it's in my bag. On the left side, you have the triple card slot for your dual nano SIM card with 4G LTE connectivity and to expand your memory up to 512 gigabytes via micro SD card. Lastly, at the bottom, you have another stereo speaker, the mouthpiece, and the USB Type-C port. The dimensions of the Poco M3 are 162.3 by 77.3 by 9.6 millimeters and weighs at 198 grams. It's a little thicker and heavier than usual phones right now, but it's because of that massive 6,000 milliamperes of battery. So it's a great trade-off for me, and some people actually prefer heavier phones anyway since they think it's a better build quality if it's heavier. Comment down below which do you prefer, heavy or light phones. Overall, this is a greatly built phone, especially for the price. It doesn't feel cheap at all. I sometimes forget that this is a budget phone, so based on build quality alone, this is a great phone. Although this is a well-designed and built phone, the main highlight of the Poco M3 is that massive 6,000 milliamperes of battery. And not only it has this big battery, but it also supports 18 watts fast charging. Well, I mentioned in the unboxing that it comes with a 22.5 watts fast charger, but it only supports 18 watts, so it's kind of weird. But still, charging time is good considering that it has this massive battery. Charging time is around 25% for 30 minutes and around 50% in an hour. Again, consider that this has a gigantic battery. Battery life will last you at least a day even with heavy usage of watching a lot of videos, playing a number of games, calling, web browsing, and days of standby performance. If you're really looking for a battery champ, the Poco M3 is certainly one of the best out there in terms of battery life, even better than most of the flagship smartphones right now. In terms of performance, the Poco M3 has an efficient 11 nanometer Snapdragon 662, which benefits the battery performance, and Adreno 610 for the GPU. The performance of the Poco M3 in terms of gaming is not mind-blowingly fast, and sometimes it's not fast at all. Sometimes it's even laggy when you use it for a long time, which also applies to scrolling through home screen and switching between apps. I also experienced lags and frame drops with playing Mobile Legends, Wild Rift, and Call of Duty. It's not super laggy when playing, but you'll definitely notice it, not gonna lie. But playing is still a good experience with that 1080p screen and amazing speakers. The phone also gets hot when you play a number of games consecutively, so you have to rest your phone for a while after playing. Well, you need to rest your eyes and brain anyway. The Poco M3 can still handle high graphic settings, but it's best to play with low to medium settings for smoother gaming experience, which is still not bad.
Target's in sight. Recon ready for deployment.
What is underrated about the Poco M3 is how good the speakers are. The two stereo speakers at the top and at the bottom provide good quality sounds which can get loud. Sound quality overall is balanced for the Poco M3, so here is the speaker test for you to judge.
It's getting cold, I need a break. Let's go ahead and snuggle up all night, okay?
Poco M3 runs in MIUI 12 on top of Android 10. It has cool animations, an app drawer, and a lot of features. With the MIUI 12, you have this feature called the notification shade, which works like an iOS style wherein you swipe from the upper left of the screen to show the notifications and swipe from the upper right of the screen to show the control center. Overall, MIUI 12 has improved a lot over the years. It's now cleaner and easier to use while maintaining good functionalities and aesthetics. Lastly, let's talk about the cameras. The Poco M3 has 3 camera lenses at the back, a 48 megapixel main lens, a 2 megapixel macro lens, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. You also have an LED flash at the rear. At default, the Poco M3 takes 12 megapixel photos. There's a separate camera mode to use the 48 megapixels to take more detailed photos. Photos taken with the Poco M3 have good contrast and sharpness, although their dynamic range is just okay. Noise reduction is good too. The photos are balanced but are also more saturated than the other phones in the price range. The 48 megapixel photos are somehow just the same with the 12 megapixel photos with just more details. The portrait mode is good too. Edges on the bokeh photos are more or less natural looking in some situations. The macro lens on the other hand is not really good since it's hard to focus on the subjects. Obviously it's going to suffer in low light since it will have a lot of noise and colors are going to be washed out, but I kinda expected that. Night mode makes it a little better though as it lightens the photos and lessen the noises. It would have been better if they swapped the macro lens with an ultra-wide lens, so maybe in Poco M4? The Poco M3 is a great phone in general, great build quality, good 1080p screen, amazing battery performance, and okay cameras. Although the gaming performance is not that great because I expected it to be great since it's a Poco phone, the phone is still a good buy. It's still worth it for me. I still recommend the Poco M3 but you have to consider the options like the Redmi 9, the Infinix Hot 10, Nokia 3.4, and if you have extra funds, the Realme 7. So, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. My name is Coco Martech. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep safe and happy holidays.